So we're building an empire?
That's my plan.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I was thinking like, I have some of these older like basic dice.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't believe I never had this thought before, but I think I'm just going to paint them.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Because you know those dice I showed you yesterday that were like very like comic booky?
Yeah.
Like, I could totally do that.
Yeah, they were Borderland themed dice. They were a lot of fun. Yeah,
I would shout them out, but I don't remember the user's name on Reddit that I saw them at. But they were so beautiful. But yeah, like some of these less special. Oh no, I don't want to diss my dice. Some of these more basic dice.
That's fair. Yes, I get that. Yeah,
they have room for an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, you're talking about dice making.
Yeah, I got asked by a friend because they mentioned making dice, and I was like, oh, that was something that I thought would be really cool. Also, I know we've mentioned before, I have a tiny bit. I'm downplaying this so heavily. I have a tiny bit of a dice thing where like I keep.
No. Oreo was a literal dice goblin.
When I said
she is green, she is tiny.
I have never downplayed anything in my life as hard as I just downplayed my dice thing.
You love them clickety clackers
so much. Shiny math rocks. I truly, truly, truly love dice, and I love dice for every character, and we have a literal podcast about the characters I keep making, so I think we can all understand now what I'm saying when I say I've never downplayed anything harder than I did my dice thing just now. Right. So, making dice would probably be exponentially cheaper than what I'm doing now.
They would be such easy presents, too. I'm just saying.
Here's the thing. I will absolutely not lie to you. That was the first thing I thought of when I thought of making dice. I was like,
let me put it on record right now. I like rounded edges because they roll more. Okay, and I don't like a D4 that will hurt me.
Oh, okay, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Please. D4s are like Legos.
Yeah. Is that all I look for in a dice? Yep, that's all I got. Oh, and also on the D4, I don't like the number on the base. I like the number like at the tip of the whatever is facing up.
I also hate a number on the base just because it's
so counterintuitive.
Yeah, like okay, but what number is it?
We went to a Ren Fair yesterday. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that was just yesterday?
That was just yesterday.
What a long weekend.
We went to a Ren Fair yesterday, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Our first one since this whole pandemic. It was just...
I love it so much.
You're with your people when you go to a Ren Fair.
You really are.
Yeah. But no, I saw this one. It was this like set of teeny tiny dice because I love teeny tiny things. And I was really legit about to get it, but I looked at the D4 and the 4 was on the base and I was like, nope. Not my money today. No, sir.
And you lost me.
I was close, too.
I love the dice with things in them. Mm-hmm. I finally have I bought my first pair. We went to WasabiCon not too long ago also. And I bought my first pair.
Where you go with your people.
And, oh God, it was just so fun and satisfying.
Yeah.
And I follow so many dice makers on Instagram. So many dice makers are favorited on my Etsy, but also I am consistently broke.
So the age-old problem.
Yeah, it's such a thing. But I love what they do, and they're so pretty. There's one, I think it's like Dice by Flowers or something like that. They make these like very, very beautiful, like, you know, like that really, really clear, it almost looks like glass, like acrylic, where it's like very like shiny, and then there's just like the little flowers floating in them, like roses and these little like blue flowers, and like they're so pretty and they're so wonderful. And I was like, I would never have money if I bought all of the dice that I love.
Y'all, I wish you could see Oreo. She is like in her happy place right now.
This is my mind palace. It is built of dice.
Just daydreaming about different types of dice.
But they make these that are like necklaces, little dice necklaces. And they're so cute.
I'm sorry, I got a reference. You remember a little bit ago the I love cats.
Yeah.
I forgot that existed. I'm having a bit of a moment remembering that happened in all of our lives. But you're giving me big, like, I love dice. Every kind of dice.
Yeah.
Little dice, countdown dice,
and I just want to
big
take
ass
D100s. That
I get sad knowing I can't take all of the dice. Like, that's the energy you're giving me right now.
That is the exact energy of... If you have all seen the I love cats, I love every kind of cat. That's pretty much it. That's it. That's the whole story.
Just replace cat with dice. That's Oreo. But yeah, it feels good to know that it's like always a solid like gift choice for you.
Yeah. I really...
You have no cap.
No. Right now we're working in a using an old Crown Apple bag to hold my dice situation because I had too many separate dice bags and the big quote unquote dice bag I had at one point was not big enough to hold all of the sets of dice. So now I have like the Crown bag, which is about half capacity at this point. And I don't even have all of my dice in the Crown bag. I have some that are still like just set aside. So it's about half capacity with not all of my dice in there. And then I have 2 separate bags within the Crown bag because one of them is a soft velvet bag and it holds these very, very special dice that I got from my hubby, the amethyst dice, because I don't want them to get cracked or anything like that. And then I also have this very fun pair that he got me for they're the dagger, the D6 daggers. And I keep those separate so they're easy to pull out and like, you know, bind and stuff. But
stab.
And stab. But so I have a bag and 2 bags within that bag, and then also a couple separate, still in like the plastic holder container sets of dice as well. And the Crown bag is still at half capacity. So at some point, this is going to become somebody's problem. Not mine, but somebody's problem.
But yeah, and I have absolutely no D&D related addiction. Since we're downplaying today.
Absolutely.
Addicted to. It's not making characters. I think I'm addicted to world building, honestly.
Yeah.
My mind won't stop.
It won't stop building and won't stop asking questions about things that were built.
I also enjoy mapping. I'm no good at it. Like, I've seen some of these other people on the internet go on like Incarnate and just make these beautiful settings. Yeah. One day, but yeah, map making is fun too.
Yeah,
that's not why we're here. We're not.
That's not. We're not at all talking. Actually, you mentioning that dice is always a solid gift is an excellent segue. Because we're talking about.
We had an excellent segue.
We had one. We passed it
right fast.
I'm bringing it back for this. We're supposed to be. So I should probably start by saying hi.
True. Hello, party.
Yes. Hello. I am. Currently, your reminiscing rogue, Oreo.
Oh snap! I wasn't ready. I didn't have one in the magazine. I'm your the dandy. I take it back already. I hate it. I'm trying to think of a holiday themed D adjective. You got anything?
No.
I'm your jolly druid chow.
Fuck the D.
Oreo! This is a program for all ages.
Yep. Here we are.
We can't mention fucking D's around here. Now you've made me do it.
We're just gonna
and this saying... is Rogan Druid.
It is. This exactly is Rogan Druid.
Welcome to the party. We're back with another Wild Magic Surge.
Yes.
Christmas okay. Holiday themed, baby.
Holiday.
You guys. I viscerally, like a barbarian entering rage. I love the holiday season with every drop of my being. I love the decorations. I love the overplayed music. I love gift giving. I also enjoy gift receiving, but that is not why I'm participating in gift exchanges. I'm here to see your face react to what I've picked out for you. I'm here for the baking and the cold weather and hot cocoa. It's just my favorite.
Yeah, honestly, much like Mariah Carey, Xiao gets most of her power around Christmas.
I am Mariah Carey and Michael Bublé's love child.
Oh, God.
But Filipino and, born in 93.
Sounds too strong and too complicated.
Oh, I'm so happy we're here to celebrate with you guys.
Same. I don't gain nearly as much power.
No, your peak has come and gone.
It has. However, in the spirit of all holidays that we love, obviously for Xiao, mostly Christmas, but all holidays.
My second favorite is my birthday, and you can't tell me that's not a holiday.
We're talking about holidays.
Yes, we are.
In tabletop.
Yeah. In
Dungeons and Dragons. Honestly, any tabletop that you want to add a holiday to. Mostly ways to incorporate holidays, ideas for things you can do for holidays, and also if you have ways you want to incorporate but you don't want to do just Christmas or Halloween or Thanksgiving, great ideas for how to fantasize those holidays and still have something that feels kind of like what you're going for. You know what I mean?
So, I didn't come with anything prepared, but there's so much to touch on.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, do some research about other actual cultures and what they do. Not even for the winter time. Just what they got going on.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how helpful it is to because even let's just take Christmas because we are in Christmas season right now. The crazy different ways that people handle and celebrate Christmas around the world. Same exact holiday, just
it's
completely changed how it's celebrated depending on where you go. I think it's baffling sometimes how people don't understand how different that holiday is. Because if you just say Christmas, but just take anybody else's way of celebrating Christmas and then incorporate that for your party, it'll still feel entirely different to them.
Right. In actual real life, Chris, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't claim to be an expert on several things, but in Japan, it's mostly a commercial thing. And I know they gotta eat KFC, I don't know, Christmas morning or something. Because that's just how it played out. I have also heard that. So it's that's starkly different from profoundly Christian places celebrate. But it's it's Christmas.
Yeah.
It's still December 25th.
Exactly. I think I'd heard, actually this is very funny because I got some of this information from Drawfee, which is a YouTube show that we really enjoy.
Yeah. I think one of this podcast inspirations, honestly.
Yeah.
You gotta give them credit.
Similar energy.
Yeah. I think so. I listen to them and laugh.
Yeah. I hope similar energy. I find them funny.
They're thriving.
But they do Christmas episodes where they will take other traditions and draw them. And one of the ones that stuck with me the most was the Yule Lads.
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say the pooping log.
The pooping log is crazy.
That's from Spain. If you haven't looked it up, or if you don't know, look it up. But yeah, the Yule Lad from a Scandinavian.
It's a Scandinavian, It's I don't know which one, so I don't want to name a specific one, but it is a Scandinavian culture thing. The Yule Lads just being these rambunctious scamps of Christmas.
Truly scamps.
Truly scamps. And that's we don't really have like in America, we don't really have like, other than the idea of knowing that Krampus exists, we don't have a devious Christmas
we don't have
entity.
Camps.
Like, we don't have like a threatening like Krampus. We don't have like a rambunctious scamp like the Yule lads. Like, we don't have any of that. It's just all very cute, very like fun, very like you're always a good boy or girl.
Right.
Like, even like when you're not, the downside is just like you get a lump of coal, but like nobody's coming to like take you away.
Like, or your mom. Or
right.
But these are like, it's good to like research these other things because like some of these things you could just like pick up, effectuate into your D&D campaign.
Either as like just a tradition that exists or an actual entity that you have to deal with.
I'm sure there's a Krampus stat block out there.
I would love to see a Yule Lad stat block. Like, could you imagine like having to deal with these like, they're not necessarily evil, but they are scamps if ever you heard of a scamp.
Roguish,
these are absolutely possibly roguish, but solidly probably fae, I would say, is how I would play them.
Yeah.
Just a bit trickster fae. And like having to deal with that as a party for Christmas would be so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like also, I think a lot of people get worried about like adding things like regular holidays into their campaigns because like you're in a fantasy setting, you're kind of doing a lot of escapism when you're playing tabletops, and you don't want to like just be like, all right, well, it's Christmas.
And you know, like they inherently have the whole Christian and religious things that are attributed to them, and that, you know, that's valid. This is why like Animal Crossing like does not stated Christmas, but like they've got that reindeer that shows up in a Santa suit giving presents. And, like, they have a carnival for, like, Mardi Gras. And they got that peacock coming. Which leads me to what I wanted to tell you guys, which is just, like, steal the holidays from Animal Crossing.
I actually do think Animal Crossing has a great way, because they do a lot, most major holidays that most people know, and because Animal Crossing has such a wide range of people who play the game, from all around the world, they take not just American things, but they also take other countries' celebrations and also use those in their like special holidays. So like they do things like Easter and Christmas and Halloween. They're not named so, but they do them. And then they do things like Carnival and like so you get this like nice mix of a lot of different things. And all of them still incorporate what you know what holiday you're actually getting, but they incorporate something different, and they have like the general vibe of that holiday without like being like, this is Christmas, we just named it differently. You know what I mean?
No.
I think a lot, honestly, if you like a lot of like children's games like that will do things like that. And I think honestly, just looking at video games is a great place to also kind of pick up some hints on like how to incorporate a holiday without taking it out of whatever world that you're in. Because Animal Crossing does that really well. And there are a couple other smaller games and even bigger like RPG games and stuff like that who will do themed type things for different holidays that also won't. So like I don't play, this was actually not like an RPG so much as a shooter, but I don't play Overwatch, but I know Overwatch will give special things for a variety of different holidays. Like they do Chinese New Year, they do Christmas and Halloween and all this different, like they'll do a lot of different holidays. All you really get is like skins and stuff, and then you'll see a couple of different like mini games you can play based off of those things. But like they still incorporate them so they still make sense for the world that they've created, even though you don't necessarily need to know the lore to understand and play the game. And so I think like looking at how other mediums incorporate holidays in is a great place to begin with an idea of how you want to incorporate your holidays.
You've just reminded me, like Stardew Valley is another one where it's like a whole year in Stardew Valley is only like 4 seasons, which is like months of like 4 weeks. So you have like 4 months of a year, and then throughout that year they have like there's a special day where the jellyfish come at night and they're all light up, and it's like this whole big thing. And they also have like their own Easter and they have a spring festival where you like you're able to go ask any of the single people like if they want to dance with you for that.
Aww.
Yeah, it's really nice. So like that's another good place to have like those kind of like these happen on this part of the year type of annual events. Well, I'm gonna segue. Did you have something to say?
I was gonna say Sims also, and their newest update in the newest Sims actually, or not their newest update, but one of the later updates that came through was like the calendar when they started adding holidays and stuff, where you could literally make your own holidays, and they had all these suggestions and things you were supposed to do on those holidays, and just like testing out different combinations of things you can do. Because I'll add holidays that aren't in like just the base holidays that exist. So like they'll do things like Prank Day, which is basically April Fool's, or like they do Winterfest, which is Christmas, and they do a couple other things, but they give you options to add things that aren't a part of the base game, like Thanksgiving essentially, or like Halloween, or like, and you can, like, Love Day. They'll give you, give you options to like change the names and like play with them, and then you can change up what they do. I literally always make Thanksgiving, and I find it very funny to make Thanksgiving and have Thanksgiving's like requirements be like watch sports, be thankful, and like have a drink or something like just a very small, simple amount of things. But you can like play with a bunch because they have a crazy amount of things you can do that you can make a part of your holiday. Like they literally have like, you can just have like, you have to speak like a pirate, like like all these weird kooky like things you do that become essentially tradition because they show up on your calendar every year the same time. And like playing with that, even if you're not playing Sims, but like seeing what different things they have and like using some of those to possibly give yourself ideas for traditions that exist during these holidays is a lot of fun also. And you can play with not just like the more serious and sweet and kind holidays, but also like making something really silly and stupid as a holiday.
Absolutely. That makes like if only a certain place like celebrates this thing, it makes it so much more memorable and like so much more telling of the society. But I forgot where I was going to segue to, but another thing I wanted to mention is like, you know, there's a calendar on Sims and Stardew Valley, and there are different lengths. For my current campaign that we're running, I made a 10-month calendar of like just, I think just 28 days, but it's that sort of world building that makes me feel so much closer to this. And like, Sunny was a werebear at one point, so I had to keep track of like when the full moon was. I literally, that my character in that campaign had something that she got, had Druidcraft, and she literally used it daily to check the cycle of the moon because we were on a tight schedule to figure out how to fix this problem, and we had to keep an eye on that. And so it was really great to like check daily or every couple of days when I remembered like, oh, I'm going to cast Druidcraft. Where's the moon at now? And just having you have that was so much fun, honestly. And now you have this thing where it's like you have to expose it to moonlight because that's the flavor of it, which we've turned into the actual mechanics of it. And like, if I'm telling you like you're in a really like overcast place, you're not going to see the moon tonight, that might be a problem later on. But yeah, I highly recommend like just not experimenting on like making your own calendars, DMs, because it just makes it more memorable when you like immersive. That's the word for you and your players. And there's so many things you can do. Like during this campaign, we had New Year's, and like everybody like celebrated in a different way. But like the situation, we were talking I think last week about this character, but like you had a character that was from the Underdark, so she didn't know. Like, never experienced. The Underdark probably had a different calendar than the one we're operating on now. So it's just fun. It is a lot of fun. And that just kind of reminds me because one of the things that I really like, because obviously yours is a homebrew world, using obviously mechanics from D&D. Hubby DM's world was homebrew. Barbarian Zav DMing his world is homebrew. So we've mostly played homebrew worlds, but I love like taking the lore of D&D and using that to create a holiday. So we've experienced a couple of holidays in D&D in different campaigns. So like, as you mentioned, like we did New Year's at one point. We, in
Zav's campaign, we did something called Kieran's Day, which is basically Christmas.
Yeah.
But a Kieran is that dragon horse thing. I don't know exactly how to describe it.
It's a celestial. I think it's in the plain old monster manual.
Okay, so Kieran is Kieran.
Is there a hyphen?
Kr-RIN.
Yes.
Is a huge celestial. It's lawful good. The creature basically has like innate spell casting, and you can wish. You can essentially like make a wish essentially with the character. So it kind of works like, you've seen Pokemon. You've seen the movie where like when you see the at the end of the movie, Ash. Yeah. You can make a wish and then like the wish is supposed to come true. That's basically how Kieran worked too, where it was this idea for children and honestly for adults too, where you would try to see, and unlike Santa, you would try to see Kieran fly over so that you could make a wish and then your wish was supposed to come true. Obviously, the goal being like you're not supposed to make like a ridiculous wish. Like you should make something like nice for that day or for some sort of material object or something like that. And so that was like a thing that we had to describe for your character and Hubby DM's character because two of our characters in that campaign had lived on the surface. It's very funny, actually. We're talking about more characters who came from the Underdark. They had lived on the surface. They had experienced this their entire childhood of like this Kieran's Day that the entire country celebrates because Kieran is supposed to fly over the whole country on that specific day. So that was basically our Christmas for that world. Yeah. And I thought that was very fun because it incorporated the actual creature, the actual lore of that creature, but it was also like a very specific day that this creature only ever comes out, which isn't necessarily true for the creature, but it becomes this like legend and lore, almost like the Santa Claus of the world. Exactly. But operating also entirely different than Santa does, because you're not giving presents, you're just making a small wish for the day, you know?
Yeah. But it's like, it's the same energy. Just putting those, like, positive things out. Yeah. You know? That's the... Oh, God, I love the holidays.
It's so much fun.
I feel bad because I was talking about all, like, the commercial stuff I love about that. No, but I love the time.
Yeah.
I love, you know, family time, friends time, everybody just taking a beat, reflecting. It's all just... I live for this.
Yeah. But also the commercial stuff does add to like building up that feeling. Yeah. That excitement for the thing that you're actually going to get on that day. Whether that be like a physical material thing that you want or just like the time and the experience that you're going to have with the people around you. And so like Kieran's Day was very much that feeling for us in that world where it was like, ooh, this is exciting. For you guys, it was like, this is new. Like, I can't wait to meet this this thing because you didn't fully understand it. Yeah. For us, it was just like, oh, this is like nostalgic and fun because like we haven't really celebrated that heavily since in like years because this is something that children are more excited for usually. But like, also seeing your excitement for it also upped our excitement for it because it was just different. And so that was I thought that was a really fun way to kind of create a Christmas in his world without it being Christmas. Yeah. It was something entirely different, but also like kind of the same.
Yeah. Is that are those our in-game holidays?
No, we've had I actually think Hubby DM's campaign is a prime example of having holidays that are only celebrated by specific cultures. Right. And we had 2 of those that we experienced. One was Lit's people, the shifters.
My people.
And then the other was Alma's people, the halflings. So you can definitely tell us about the shifters because yours was like a really interesting...
in college, I took a few classes on the history of like Native Americans and stuff. I learned one of the things that really stuck with me was the tribes that were like nomadic because we're still humans, right? And humans are social people. Like, so even though they're nomadic and they're traveling with just like their core family and or whatever unit they're traveling in, every year, like after a certain amount of time, they would always meet up with several units, come together, and that's like when they would look for partners and stuff. And it would be a good way, to keep to stay social. So that sort of like lifestyle was kind of what I based my Lit's family and clan and their social structure. We're nomadic, but like every year, I don't remember like what time of year it was. I think Spidey picked for me, but every year we got together and we'd have and also I just love like Greek mythology and that ancient Greek culture. So I kind of mixed those two things, where it's like every year we have some sort of sports festival, and it's a time to like get together with everybody, but also it's a time to like find a partner.
Yeah.
Where you're like showcasing all of your physical, whatever, all of your skills and stuff. So that's where that came from. So I think it was back to back in that campaign where we went from like my people to your people, or the other way around.
No, it was your people to my people. Yeah.
But yeah, that's where that came from. I wish I remembered like which which peoples it was that I learned back in college, but that was a little bit ago. But yeah, that's where that came from. So in the actual campaign, we had and here's another insight into our real life games. I usually just like to make joke characters, which is the opposite of you. So and lit is so named because I was saying it's lit so much.
Yeah.
During that time, and like I just forced it into existence, but now she's my beloved original baby. But another like joke thing I made that became world building was that I love waffles.
And so nobody else knew what waffles, specifically that she loved waffles, and nobody else knew what waffles were. They became specifically a shifter meal.
So yeah, now it's like the food of my people. So like anytime you guys are visiting for an event, like Lit ended up getting married, we had waffles at the ceremony.
And it was very exciting because she kept asking, and I truly don't know why we ended up doing this, but it was like, she was like, I want a waffle, and everybody just decided to be like, what's a waffle?
Fuckers.
Like we were going to a tavern, and she was like, yeah, can I order waffles here? And everybody was like, what are waffles?
But honestly, like, you know how waffles are made. How are nomadic shifters making these things?
I don't know.
It's a specific, like, contraption.
That means they literally have to make the effort to make a travel-size waffle maker.
But yeah, and all of these joke ideas that I had just became like my culture in this world.
Very specific culture. Like, so waffles were like a huge thing to her people. They were like, they're very like, they're a food everybody loves, but they almost became like a ceremonial food at that point.
Oh yeah.
Because they showed up only at like the wedding and then also at this like mating gathering, social gathering that we went to. So those were the only 2 times we experienced waffles, because we saw the shifters at a different point. But there were no waffles the next time we saw it, because it wasn't like one of these like ritual ceremonial events. Yeah. There were no waffles.
Maybe that's why she's always seeking them. Because they're so rare to her.
And then so like we went and we experienced for the first time, like one, we met your family for the first time in that event. But then also we all took part in like this, even though nobody was really looking to like mate or anything like that. We all took part in like these different events and like essentially like endeared ourselves to the community by like taking part in these events. And like it was this whole thing that became like such a huge deal for your people that it became essentially like this like gathering that you decided was like a yearly event or seasonal event or something like that. I can't remember which, but it was very specifically an event that occurs consistently. So it became essentially a holiday that exists, but it's only a holiday for the shifters. Yeah. So the rest of the world had no idea it existed. And then on the flip side of that, literally right after, because we were doing this in the fall in campaign, And once again, I can't remember if that was like a seasonal thing. So like you guys do it every season, or like it was specifically honestly, in the fall.
But it can be whatever you want if you want
it. As we were leaving, Amma realized what season it was because she hadn't paid a lot of attention up until that point, and she was like, oh, we should go see the halfling village. And so basically I had an idea for almost like not a Thanksgiving, but specifically a harvest festival that takes place every year for the halflings, where nomadic halflings come in and visit, ghostwise halflings, which at that point we had decided came from like just outside of the country limits, like in technically a different country, but the woods of that country, because they're very isolated people. And then like the less nomadic halflings have an actual like almost hobbit village of halflings that are more farmers and stuff like that. They have like, and the village itself ended up having its own sort of culture. Fuck the green bottle.
Oh my god.
But there's like a whole...
we have to explain.
The tavern rivalry.
Real quick. It was just like two taverns across the street from each other, and they just had a rivalry that has gone on for so long, nobody actually knows why we're upset with each other.
But everybody has a side that they take.
We were given a side, so of course our house words were "fuck the green bottles."
Like it was literally like, as we were entering the town, she's like, "You have to understand, you can't go to the other tavern." I don't know why we don't like them, but like apparently we're not friends in that sense. So like we don't go to that tavern, and like she even kind of expressed it in a way that was like, this is not that big of a deal to me. And the whole rest of the party was like, say less.
I fixated.
Fuck the green bottles. It became like, they just like full force jumped headlong into that rivalry that Amma was like, it's whatever, but like, this is how my particular family feels about it. I don't care that much. And they were like, no, fuck these guys.
War paint on our faces, waving flags. Just
so you're all aware, the house we rep is Good Barrel.
Dude, I didn't even remember that. I just remembered the hate.
Fuck the green bottle. And I made that up as a joke because the last names were so similar.
Yeah.
But like there was no good reason for it other than like, this is very funny to me, the idea of these two very similarly named tavern owners just having beef and it being a thing. I did not expect anybody to be that invested in it.
Yeah. I fixated pretty, like, I went so far as to like, I don't know, I don't remember if I went invisible, if I wild shaped and snuck into the other.
Went invisible and snuck into the other bar to see what was going on so you could get like intel.
And it was the mirror image.
It was exactly the same.
Of our home tavern. And you know, sometimes that's just how rivalries. But see how much I remember. Like, it's so memorable. It's such good world building.
It absolutely is. Like, and honestly for us, a lot of those like joke things became such good, like intense world building and RP moments and stuff like that. But so essentially the idea of this like harvest festival was all the farming is done. We have harvest. We have surplus. It was a lot of worship because halflings do have their own pantheon as well, for the goddess Yundala, who is essentially like the mother of the halflings. Because I love the lore of like gods in D&D a lot. For the halflings, this is honestly my favorite pantheon. I don't know if you know that, but like, and I think a lot of that has to do with just like the halflings having a very special place in my heart because of Amma. But they're basically like, the halflings treat their pantheon like a family, almost like a family that like, so Yondala is the mother god. Yeah. And then like you have like the trickster, like uncle. And then like, it's like, they're just like, they talk about them like their family too. So like even praying doesn't really work the same for halflings as it does for like other races. Right. So they're basically paying homage to the mother goddess, who is like the goddess of like the hearth and the home and the harvest and all that stuff. So they have this like nice quiet temple to her that's off a little bit away from the village, more in nature and that kind of thing. And then in the village proper, the surplus of what they harvest and everything, because of their great harvest, which obviously they thank her for, just gets fed around in this giant party of like celebration of like another good year, another good harvest. And halflings are absolutely like also the druggies of the world that we were in. Like, so like they just have like, they had like weed brownies and like, and opioids and stuff like that. There's just like, they were like very simple folk until it was time to party down, and then they were like the hardest partiers. Like the bard bands were going all fucking night. Like none of her friends were prepared for the kind, because we had just come from the shifters, which was like a lot of physical activity and games. All the food was still like healthy though, and like and then like they were just like all the alcohol, all of the drugs, and all the food. Go hard, my son. And so they were like such distinct holidays, but they happen back to back in the world. So they're very close to each other, but they're so culturally like secluded that like none of these two groups would have ever known until they experienced them. And that was fun because it also meant like the world at large was not privy to these holidays that got celebrated. And that built the world bigger because we had back-to-back holidays that we experienced that were entirely different from each other because of cultural changes and differences, but also existed essentially in the exact same time frame. Right. And nobody else was any the wiser as to what was going down.
And see, this is just like, we're pulling from actual cultures. We're pulling from the past. And you're pulling from official D&D content. Like, you can pick and choose. Make your own little calendar.
And mix and match them. Like, take a little bit of like, because the Harvest Festival in general, the idea of a Harvest Festival is not a new idea. Yeah. It is something that cultures across the world have done. It's so international. It's such a common thing that people know about. You can say Harvest Festival and kind of immediately have an idea of what season this is taking place in and what we're celebrating. And then you take a little bit of actual D&D lore and a little bit of something fun just for you or just that you thought of, and then mesh all of that together, and you get this entirely unique, ridiculous hard party of like just the like homiest people, because I wanted it to feel like in Lord of the Rings when you see the hobbits like party, like it's kind of crazy how hard they go. Obviously they don't mention the drugs, but like it's kind of crazy how hard they go. And I basically said like, these are simple farmers, but like give them a party to throw and like go off.
And I think I've never read the books, but I think Lord of the Rings has their own like whole schedule. And like specifically just the dwarves have their own like whole thing going on. Yes.
So. And I love the idea of, because we presented two very specific and very different ideas of like different ways you can do holidays, because we had things like Kieran's Day, which is Kieran's Day and essentially New Year's, which are universal across the whole of the world that was created. And then you have this halfling harvest fest and this shifter reunion that are very insular, private, but huge, important things for those people holidays. And the idea of, I think the only thing that I realized that like we haven't done yet as far as both of those are concerned, but I love and I think absolutely would be a great thing to integrate into a game, is having both present themselves in a campaign to show the insular privateness of, even though it's a huge celebration for these people, you would have never experienced it unless you had come at this time and met these people and experienced how they do things differently. And then also a holiday that like everybody celebrates, everybody knows this holiday, we all do this, that kind of thing.
So good. I just love world building. We've already talked about it. It's my pillar. Exploration is my pillar. I want to know what the calendar looks like. I want to know every NPC's name, what the local cuisine is, what are the imports and exports of this town. It just feels so good. Yeah. I love feeling immersed. Is that all of the...
Those are all the holidays we have actually played. Yeah. I do also want to point out, like, there is also a way to integrate holidays without actually giving a holiday at all to your party. Prime example of that was we did essentially, like, a Halloween 2-shot.
Oh, yeah.
In Hubby DM's campaign, but it wasn't any, like, there was no holiday related to it. We just had something that happened to be spooky themed.
Yeah.
Because we were playing around Halloween. And I also thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
If you don't really want to create holidays, that's a great way to kind of give your players a feel of a holiday. If you want to get in the season in D&D or whatever tabletop you play without actually forcing a holiday into your world if you don't want to give one.
Right.
And I thought that was a lot of fun too. So I feel like there are a lot of ways you can incorporate holidays or the vibe of a holiday without actually giving a holiday.
For sure.
Honestly, more than anything, I think a lot of this will come down to like exactly how you play, what your party likes, that kind of stuff. But there are a lot of different ways you can incorporate all of these things in. Like Harvest Fest is a great example of like, this is specific, this is very like cultural specific because we're a farming town, we're a farming people. The same way the Shifters is a great example of this is cultural specific because we're all kind of insular and nomadic, but also a singular people who will come together. You can also do that for anything. Like big cities will probably have different types of parties or things that they celebrate because they don't need a harvest festival. They're always together, so they don't need any sort of reunion to come together. But there are probably things that just become like a story or something like that they do celebrate.
Like society, like in real life, we celebrate Independence Day.
Yeah,
that's something like a city could do. Like
exactly the founding.
Yeah, exactly.
It like there are so many. It's very funny because there are so many ideas, and you could also take just like you could create a history for a city that's not purely just like, oh, well, it's like founding day. This is the founding of this particular city. You could take something that used to matter before the city became a city, because no city starts off as a city. It starts off as something that builds into a city eventually. You could take something that used to matter and now has no actual relevance to where they are now. So let's imagine the Shifters stopped being nomadic, but they still had this big reunion every year. Yeah. And it was just, now it's just like the story is once our people were nomadic and now we are in a singular spot. We all live together and work together. This reunion is in honor of the times when we used to be a nomadic people and would have to make the effort to come together. And that immediately almost feels like a Shifter Thanksgiving. Yeah. You know, or halflings, if they no longer are predominantly farmers, but they still celebrate a harvest fest in honor of the time when they did need good harvest, and they still want to honor Yondala for having provided enough for them to move past needing to farm. Like something like that. It's a great way to like show a history of a town without actually having to like go through a huge exposition for why the town is this and how we got here. Like just, we're celebrating St. Joseph's Day, and you're like, who the heck is St. Joseph? and like just have your party walk by a play, like where they're like, oh, in honor of St. Joseph, who built the first, cathedral, like something like that. And it's like, oh, this is a religious town. Like they very value that. 2 points.
In that respect, like we Americans celebrate St. Patrick's Day in a way, which is probably nothing to do with actual St. Patrick.
Sure.
And I personally don't know like the actual history of St. Patrick. But like I know every year people are wearing green and getting lit. Yep. Had to do it. Didn't mean to. Sorry. But yeah, that's another thing. You could just be like, this is a thing that we do. We don't know why.
That I was just like, that's also really fun. Like you can have a town, because excellent example, St. Patrick's Day versus Christmas. Yeah. Everybody does Christmas. People have strayed further and further from what Christmas was really supposed to be about. Like, it is way more about, like, presents and things like that now. Yeah. But everybody knows the story of Christmas, so you know why we celebrate Christmas every year. In America, St. Patrick's Day is just like, I know it's an Irish thing, and a lot of people love the excuse to get drunk together and have a party. So, like, that's what St. Patrick's Day is. And we don't really have any cultural relevance to that. We don't have any historical connection to that. But, like, we know it's a thing. And people love drinking. So, like, we're going to drink together and celebrate this holiday that doesn't actually really mean all that much to Americans for the most part, right? It's exactly like having a town that has, like, or having different towns who have different ideas, like, oh, we celebrate St. Joseph. Like, everybody celebrates St. Joseph's Day. This town is like, here's the story of St. Joseph and why we do this. And then this town is just like, woo, St. Joseph!
And another town is like, no, nobody talks for 24 hours.
Yeah, like, we don't.
In remembrance. Like...
And having players have different experiences for what St. Joseph's Day is supposed to be is hilarious to me. Like, just like, this is a very somber holiday for us. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a day of remembrance and like,
and if you're playing like a religion heavy, like if you're playing like a cleric with like a paladin or whatever. I stutter every time we say paladin now. But yeah, if you guys want to dive into that, like, there you go. Also, point number 2, as far as like shifters, like in your theoretical of like, what if they all like settle down and whatever? It's like, well, they're shifters. They're still pretty like primal or bestial or whatever. Mm-hmm. It could just be like off of biology. This is mating season. So this is why we do this thing at this time.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it's very, or even just like you need a time, like almost like you just need a place to like let out some of that pent up, like we used to, like we're now very like stable and like we don't move around anymore. So like, but we still need like that time to like get rid of that energy. So you could also take it and just turn it into the exact opposite of what it was before, where it's like, no, like this is the time where we like run out and like we like find space and we do our own thing and then we come back together and like get together and get it on, essentially. Like, but like we have to get out of each other's way for a little while before we come back together. And now that's what it is. Instead of everybody being really excited to come together for the first time in a while, we're really excited to like have space for a hot minute and then come back together. So like just taking something that like had one meaning and then building upon what it would become if this happened would be a lot of fun also for your world building. So like having an idea of like, oh, if you start at the beginning and like this is what the holiday was then, and then like in the next campaign, different characters are now seeing what the holiday is now. That was one of the things that that's like fun. Hit in my mind as like, that would be very fun to watch that evolution of like what a holiday was and like how heavily it meant something. And then like now it's just like St. Patrick's Day. Like we're just drinking and having a good time and we don't know anything about this holiday anymore. But I like getting together with my friends and drinking and having fun.
I like pinching my friends if they're not wearing green.
Yep.
Which I don't even know if like actual Irish people in Ireland are doing.
Yeah, and that's also a thing like that we just touched on, of like how like different people would celebrate it entirely differently. Essentially like, woo, St. Joseph's Day is like the America's version of like St. Patrick's Day. I don't know how much it matters or how much it weighs or how differently it's looked at, or if Irish people even care that much about St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Because like the cultures have just like turned it into something entirely independent of whatever it was supposed to be to begin with. Like a lot of people will bring up like Valentine's Day now is just like basically about commercialism. Like, do you know like the actual history of like Saint Valentine and like what was like, and when you learn, you're like, how did we get here?
Corporations. But yeah, I think just in conclusion, steal holidays from other things. Video games are strife with that kind of stuff. But books. I mean, in general, just steal things for your D&D campaign. But yeah, holidays are a great thing to steal. I recommend making your own calendar. It's just a blast. Yeah, like from a like mechanical standpoint, I do think making your own calendar so you actually can keep track of things like that is super important. If you have players who do have ideas, because I thought it was really special to like incorporate those ideas for both of us into the world. And like, once again, that's a great way of showing off that like, oh, like you can have something that's very like specific and still have it insular enough that it doesn't affect the entire rest of the world. It doesn't have to be branched out into the entire rest of the world, but it's still important to you as a character and a player and your backstory and all that kind of stuff. I will also say
I know we mentioned like, oh, how do you incorporate these without like bringing the real world in? But I also just want to point out, like, don't be afraid. Like, if you just want Christmas, just have Christmas.
Absolutely.
You can literally make exactly Christmas. And if you don't want it to be called Christmas, just pick a new name. Like, prime example was going back to The Sims. Like, it's Christmas. They just call it Winterfest.
Yeah.
Just like pick a new name if you don't want it to be exactly.
Enormous.
Yeah. Yes. Pick a god if you want them to have like a worship god. Pick, like we said, like even if you're not actually changing the entire mechanics of the holiday, pick an entity or a lawful good monster. You could literally just call it like Unicorns Day, like where it's like, oh, well, like unicorns are good and nice and like they do wonderful things for people, like we did with Kieran's Day. But you can still have it be Christmas if you want to flavor it a little bit. They don't have to be like reindeer, and it doesn't have to be Santa, but you could have like I said, like a sleigh pulled by like winged horses and like you know what I mean? Like you don't have to feel pressured to stray away from just basic ass holidays if you want basic ass holidays. Like,
I mean, I love our actual holidays.
Yeah. And I think that's an important thing because I will point out, like you said, like we just had New Year's. It was just New Year's. Like it was the beginning of a new year. Like there was nothing incredibly different about it. And that was not a problem for us at all.
But like Spidey and Sunny's characters had like the ability to like chime in on like how they celebrated it in their peoples, which was a big deal for you and Zav's character because you're both from the Underdark in that one. So that was like both world building and character building in that moment.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to point out is also if you make a calendar, like pick your PC's birthdays and see like how they handle that.
Yeah. That is actually like that is another one of those very fun little bits of world building where it's like, no, like you have an actual birthday and your birthday will come around at some point.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens when your birthday happens. Like do you celebrate? Do you not celebrate? For me, it's very funny because actually your world is the first world where we had a very specific calendar where we actually know like holidays will come up at a specific time, birthdays will come around at a specific time. But it's also funny because for my character and for Zav's character, we picked a birthday. We kind of picked it at random because we didn't actually know our birthdays. So like, but like we don't know our birthdays.
Yeah.
So like we know around the time we were born, at least my character knows around the time she was born because she did have like parents who tried to kind of keep an idea of that. Yeah. So they have a general idea of when they probably had her, but they don't have an exact date because now they're in the Underdark. It's a lot different than being surface dwellers.
And that already like builds so much into like who you are and what the world is.
It's really fun.
Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays. Oh my goodness. I'm truly excited for the holidays. I just can't wait. I can't wait to get together and do, because I peek behind the screen. At the time of filming this, we are close to our Friendsgiving, and I'm very excited for that. And then
food and dogs. It's gonna be a blast.
Food and dogs. Best combo. Food, dogs, and friends.
Yes.
Just, where can you go wrong?
I forgot what I was going to say there. Or you go on.
I was just going to say I'm really excited for the holidays. I can't wait to share them with everybody. And I honestly, I don't know what everybody out there celebrates, but I hope whatever you celebrate, you have a great time with great people and enjoy yourself. Don't take the holidays too seriously in real life or in D&D.
Yeah, for sure. But they're a great device.
They are. They're a lot of fun. They're wonderful in and out of game.
Yeah.
So have fun.
Yeah.
And enjoy your holidays, guys.
Should we even bug them about the rates and subscribes and stuff?
If you feel like giving us a holiday gift, whatever you celebrate, you can definitely feel free to like, share, subscribe, rate us. We never ask for 5 stars, not even during the holidays. No. Just honest reviews, please. But truly, if you really, really want to give us a gift, please do share us if you're enjoying us with people you also think would enjoy us.
That would be a wonderful gift.
We're very much still just word of mouth at this point, and we would love to grow this party.
We're trying to reach some ears.
But yeah,
we wanna spark more time. Do you? Sorry, I'm segueing, but like in the past, however long it's been since our first episode dropped, several people have come to me about strong mullet opinions.
I love that. I actually love that so much.
So, we're gabbing over here, and we would just love to reach some ears and
spark more strong mullet opinions.
You guys let us know your strong mullet and holiday opinions.
Oh, goodness. As always, thank you for being with us, party.
Happy
Fuck
holidays.
Andy Warhol.
Fuck
and Electrum.
Mm-hmm.
Happy holidays, party.
Not Paladins?
Not Paladins.
Not in the holidays.
Not in the holidays.
Okay. Bye, party.
Bye, party.